Hello everyone, this is Chad with Saber. I'll be going over how to operate your Ventus NeoPixel hilt, specifically with the Prizm5.1 installed. So a quick overview of the Saber hilt. You got two retention screws at the top. The bottom one just secures your NeoPixel connector in place, so you don't have to worry about that one unless it does get loose for some reason. This one right here will tighten your blade in place. We got a 12mm main switch right here, and then on the opposite side an auxiliary tactile switch, and then on the bottom half you got your wrap area, and at the bottom of the pommel, nice speaker vents. So let's just take out the chassis, unscrew your pommel, give it a couple shakes, unscrew your chassis. So this is a nice 3D printed chassis. We had a redesign in the chassis after the initial prototype. This was to have an area where we could fix a battery holder in place. So for those of you who plan to run your Saber all day, this is a solution here. You can swap out your high discharge 15 amp 18650. So make sure the positive terminal is on the top, negative terminal is on the bottom. So you can recharge these in a big charger, or you can, sorry, just can't see here. So you pop the bottom in, pop the top in. So you can either recharge it by putting that in a big charger, or you can charge it with where the recharge port is here, using the charger that is provided, and you just go plug it in. So your charger will light up red if the battery is not fully charged, and it'll turn green once the battery is fully charged. So once you pull the charging port out, it'll boot up the Saber. So anytime there is something in the recharge port, this is cutting power to your soundboard. So while the charger's in, or the kill key's in, you cannot press the button. Well, you can press the button, but nothing will happen. You got your SD card access up here. High bass 28mm speaker at the bottom. So once you got your Prizm booted up, you just want to turn it back in. Put your pommel on the bottom, push it the rest of the way in. This way you protect your speaker from your fingers. So the Prizm's got a few more features than the Nano Biscotti. We'll just put a blade in right now. So the NeoPixel connector is working a way where it can be placed in the hilt in any direction and still make proper connection. Then use your Allen key to tighten the blade in place. And if your Saber is booted already, then one press of the button will ignite the Saber. And then you hold it to retract the blade. And then say you are playing at night and you don't want to wake anyone up with the noise, and if you hold the auxiliary button and then press the main button, then it'll enter mute mode. And then hold to retract. And then while it's on, if you press the auxiliary button while it's running, then you'll have the blaster bolt effect. Just gotta, as you can see, it lights up various pixels. It lights up various pixels as if in a different color, as if you're blocking a blaster bolt. So if you hold the auxiliary switch, it'll go into blade lockup mode. And then for color changing on the fly, it's just like the mute mode sequence, but while it's running. So you hold the auxiliary button and then press the main button to switch colors. And it'll rotate through everything. And these colors can all be configured on the SD card if you want a color that's not in the pre-configured color rotation. And then lastly, you have flash on clash, which changes the color of the blade for an instant. Then you just unscrew the retention screw and you can pull the blade out. So if you are planning on transporting this, or you just want it to not use any power, you can put the kill key in or take out the battery. Once this has been on for a while and you haven't touched it for a while, it will go into a deep sleep mode, which will consume a very minimal amount of power, but if you still press the button, it'll boot up the Saber. So if you're transporting it and you don't want anything to activate the Saber, then you want to pull out the battery or pop the kill key in. So if your chassis is rattling in your Saber, just unspool it, turn it left a little bit before pushing it back in the Saber. This will just unspool the wiring a little bit and give it a tighter fit. Alright, let's get into the SD card. Alright, I just wanted to let everyone know that I put the data line resistor in the blade. I believe this is also how other companies are doing it as well. But if you do happen to build your own blade, just know that there's no data line resistor on the hilt side. So the first thing you want to do before messing around with the settings on your Saber is to copy the contents over to your PC as a backup. So on my PC side here, I'm just going to create a folder called Base Profile. And this is essentially your backup. And you just want to copy that over into the base profile. And then if you copy and paste that, your backup, you can rename it Profile 1. And this is the folder that you can mess around with. So when you are changing sound fonts, which will be demonstrated later, this is the profile, the folder that you can manipulate. And you never want to touch this one because it's your backup. Alright, so all the changes on your SD card can be made directly on it, except for changing sound fonts. When you're changing sound fonts, then you have to use this this profile that you've changed with the new sound fonts, and then format the card, and then drag over the contents of the Profile 1. Otherwise, everything else you can just edit directly on the SD card itself. So just going over the override file here, as you can see, there's just a ton of different settings you can fiddle with. The most important thing is the LED strip number here. So it'll be set to how many pixels are in the blade that you received with your order. So that's why it's important to have that base profile, so you can always remember how many pixels are in this blade. So if you do purchase a new blade, be sure to get the pixel number from the owner or manufacturer, and you can change that value appropriately. So back to the override file. As you can see, there's 14 different color profiles. These are the colors that you rotate through when you're changing color on the fly. So for the color, the one called color, that's for your main blade for each one. So color 0, color 1, color 2. Those are the main blades for that color profile. And F color is your flash on clash. So for each profile, there are 3 numerical values from 0 to 1023. And at 1023, that's the color is on to the max. And at 0, it's fully off. So right now, you'd have a red blade right here. If I was to do this and change that to 0, then there'd be no LEDs on when you turn on the blade. Right here, you'd have a green blade, and if this is 1023, then you have a blue blade. Now, if I was to turn on the red blade fully here, and then the red and blue would mix to make a purple. If I were to turn the blue fully off and turn on green fully on, then these colors would mix to have a yellow color. So always after you made your changes, you just want to go File and Save, and then you're good to go. So right here is your gate value. So your gate value is for your motion sensing. I find the sweet spot to be around 17. Then it picks up the movement really well, I find. Right here is the volume. It's set from 0 to 4. 0 being mute and 4 being the loudest setting. The beep value is the loud beep that the Hilt makes when you switch to a new font. 40 is pretty loud. I'd turn that a little lower. So yeah, if you hit save, file save, then you're good to go. Put it back in your soundboard and your changes should be made. So the last feature I wanted to go over was the cue on and cue off. So right now these are set at 0, so your extension and retraction speed on your LED strip when you ignite and turn off the blade is set according to the length of the sound file. But you can change it so that you can manipulate the speed. You can make it go faster, you can make it extend a lot slower. And this value is between 0 and 3000. And so the lower it is, the quicker your blade will extend or retract. So just keep that in mind. Alright, I'm going to go over how to add sound fonts to your Prizm. So in your new profile, you can have up to 6 sound fonts, and the SD card currently comes preloaded with just 3. So what you want to do is copy and paste enough of these so that there is 6. Okay. Then you rename this to Bank 4. You don't want that space. Bank 5. and bank 6. Okay, so I get my sound fonts from Saber.com, and there's hundreds of fonts to choose from. And I just have one on the right here, this Yoda font by Shamim. So these three are just copies of Bank 3, and I'm just going to show you transferring one new sound font into Bank 4, and then transferring that over onto your SD card. So in Bank 4 here, and again we're using Profile 1, not the backup folder. Alright, so I'm just going to go over a couple things. On your current copy in your Profile 1, the preloaded sound fonts are made for the Nano Biscotti, so they're missing in the quantity of a normal Prizm sound font. So in a Prizm you can have 4 blaster sounds, 4 boot sounds, 16 swings, and 16 clashes, 1 power on sound, 1 power off sound, 1 hum, 1 blade lockup sound, and 1 color transition sound, and that's when you are changing colors on the fly. So what I do is I just I hit copy, Control C, and then I go to the Profile 1 and just go Control V, and then I replace the files. So now the blaster sounds from the new sound font are in my Profile 1. And then I just go to boot, and you can have 4 boot sounds, so you can copy all of that, paste in. It's going to replace the first boot file. Now all your boot files are from the new font, and then you can have 16 clashes. So Control C, Control V, replace. Then your color, which is your color changing sound, replace that one. And some of these are made for the crystal focus, so I can't use combo. So here, replace the hum, lock up, power off, power on, copy, paste, replace, and then swings all the way to 16, copy, and paste, replace. Okay, so the Profile 1 in the Bank 4, you'll have all the new sound files. So now I'll say you want to put it on your Prizm. So you want to reformat your Prizm. Alright, so it's formatted now. There's nothing on this SD card. And then you want to go into Profile 1 and then copy over 1 bank at a time. Rather, 1 file at a time in this folder. Once all your files are transferred over to the SD card, then you just hit eject, and then all your changes will be made and your new sound font will be on the Saber. Alright, thanks again for watching, everyone.